HEROESHEARTH is. They're focused on themselves, Dread. They don't even care about it. They're just like, why would we care about that? We are so concerned with ourselves. I love that mentality. I'm looking for something juicy. I'm looking for that snippet. And he's like, oh, man, we're cool. Like, we feel so good about our team. That's all that matters. That's awesome to hear from McIntyre. Let's get into the game. HEROESHEARTH versus Simplicity.
Yeah, and it's going to start here within the blue. We're going to have BBJ repping out for the squad, the Decker Kane. Ishbu on his legendary Phoenix, or at least we'll find out here. McIntyre going to stick a little bit normal here with the Urel pickup. Crowan for the squad on Maiev. And last up, Bam Bam, also known as Biceps, as we said earlier there long ago, is on the Arthas.
On the right side in red will be Simplicity as Hosty. He'll be on the Rainer, trying to bring the pain there. K1 Pro will be on the white main, playing that secondary support. King Caffeine will be on Johanna. Tiger JK on Tyrande. And Zuna, the one who has the history, he'll be on Malthael.
Yo, one of the cooler things here, I already feel like, at level 1 is we do end up getting the hold your ground pickup. I feel like that is a little bit in response to that Arthas pickup. Wow, great synergy there already from Simplicity for that immediate combo out with the Lunar Flare with the follow-up out of Tiger JK. But it's going to allow for that Arthas-Johanna matchup to be far better for the Johanna. I was just so concerned. We had gotten so much Laws of Hope in North America. I didn't think that this would be the situation where we get that deviation, though. I personally love the ability. Man, look at that aggression within this lane situation already in favor of HEROESHEARTH.
Well, my favorite part is Ishbu's playing the solo lane. Phoenix is an amazing solo laner. Unfortunately, he has 2 people to deal with, which means Simplicity is really reliant on this Johanna. Pre-level 4 Johanna, it's actually more difficult. Getting Sin's exposed allows for faster wave clear. Right now, HEROESHEARTH is putting on a clinic. I do want to bring up, don't forget, this is the last weekend for the cheer program for Phase 2. As you can see, HEROESHEARTH was putting down all their own sprays. You too can cheer for these teams, get your favorite team sprays, get your HGC banners. It's all there. You can check all that information out below the stream. So don't forget, last weekend is here if you want to cheer for your teams.
And you can already see the control here from HEROESHEARTH and the understanding of the lack of wave clear and the composition of Simplicity. They are dominating this 1-4 as the tether comes out. Bam Bam with the damage there as well. First blood here for HEROESHEARTH Esports with Crowan and Bam Bam there on that setup.
Well, first blood for HEROESHEARTH. The wave clear has given them strategical advantages, Dreadnought, in the rotations, allowing them to make rotations and be aggressive and look for picks. And when you have that level of control over the lanes, it's one of those things that you can force the pace. You can force the rotations. Hosty going to be locked in. No follow-up close yet. Crowan, we saw on the Maiev last week as well, seems to be filling in that role pretty nicely. Even the damage output, and Bam Bam comes in with the root. We're going to have a follow-up root. Nice knockback for Hosty. Double support will keep him alive. But Crowan on that Maiev last week got some of the highest damage output I've seen in a very long time on a Maiev.
No, he has been able to step up to that melee assassin-ish kind of role that the Maiev is necessary there. From his standard, you know, Li Ming, Hanzo legends of the past year. It very much has been an impressive step up for Crowan. But I'm still pleasantly surprised with the ability to dominate a 1-4 here, even with the sub coming in with Bam Bam there, and the ability to exploit weaknesses of composition from HEROESHEARTH Esports in this game. This is something you expect out of teams with a lot of coordination as time has gone on, but this is just straight up I mean, it's beautiful. As the B-steps dished out there by Bam Bam.
No chat needed. They might have another one. A nice knockback. The root will miss, though. Bam Bam taking some damage. K1 Pro comes in with the lash, and they get the snipe over the wall. Crowan helping to confirm another kill.
Yeah, that was actually a little bit of a mishowling blast that I think would have set up for the initial kill there from Bam Bam, but Crowan just, you know, really stepped up there at the very end. They're willing to clutch it out with that max range Q, finally finalizing that kill here. And 3 kills to nothing in favor of HEROESHEARTH Esports as we see another tether attempt. Not quite the follow-up, though, with only BBJ there, as Bam Bam did have to back, falling a little bit too low on mana. But HEROESHEARTH Esports in pretty significant control of the laning phase. And if this keeps up, this is going to be a breaking point in the next couple of minutes here in favor of HEROESHEARTH as we see BBJ taking a lot of pressure.
Oh, that root, I think, might have been enough to save BBJ from the imminent death. Zuna was in hot pursuit. Now he's in cold, frozen territory. Ishbu comes in for support. King Caffeine, he's trying to walk away as the damage coming in. And Simplicity, they're on the back foot, Dread.
Yeah, they are on the back foot, and Cap is completely as the tether comes through. Another Q healing up Zuna, but McIntyre is going to be the GOAT with a hammer, throws it down there, and picks up the 4th kill here for Heroes Hearth. Lunar Flare interrupt onto Crowin, but that's going to be the last. Only a Sentinel available, but you see Bam Bam and BBJ trying to tank it there, actually breaking fog and somehow making it through.
If Bam Bam is like, oh, wait a minute, I do this 1,000 times a day, that's probably not something he does in his regular games as much, so didn't quite have the angle there. But as you mentioned, breaking the fog so that you didn't see where the owl was coming from. Nice play by Tiger JK.
Yeah, allowing on the bottom half too, a nice play out from McIntyre with the max use of that stun to give enough range there for Ishbu to pick it up. Hosty not able to make it back from base fast enough to get the interrupt. And now we got first Webweaver phase in favor of Heroes Hearth Esports. And now the question is, does the same dominance displayed over those first couple of lanes here in the laning phase still carry through with this Webweaver phase? And I can't help but feel like due to the lack of wave clear, the answer is very much yes. Even so much so we see that almost blessed momentum there from Johanna just to have more condemn opportunities.
Well, Simplicity, they're going to try and look for a fight. Nice use of the Icebound Fortitude by Bam Bam to wear that stun and be able to walk away. And now he's trying to turn the fight. Zuna with the double support, staying alive. Simplicity, they're holding. They went for the kill, didn't get it, but there still are 2 other lanes that need some attention as Heroes Hearth, as more of these fall, Dread, and another wave or 2 of minions come in. That threat of 10 is imminent.
Yeah, and it should be noted, too, that that was actually really well done by Zuna to be able to kite around with that double support, getting that much damage as a Malthael. It pays off for you in the long run. Hold on there. Good juke onto that Howling Blast. Tether back, not going to be able to dodge that as the Lunar Flare comes out. Scroll is ceiling did not land by BBJ. So Heroes Hearth Esports not able to lock down the kill and has to get the back out here. Howling Blast out from Bam Bam. Looks like it's enough to lock it in, but 3 front walls obtained there for the first Webweaver phase on the side of Heroes Hearth.
It's just a matter of, is Heroes Hearth able to get to 10 quick enough and then threaten one of those forts? Getting a fort down this early in the game with your first Webweaver or soon after has generally spelled trouble for the opposing team to get that type of map control, the experience control that you get in those moments. McIntyre taking some damage. It is one thing to note with Simplicity's lineup, the wave clear somewhat lacking, made up with Johanna, but CC, it's a Condemn, a Lunar Flare, and maybe a knockback or a root post 13 for Whiteman. So some of the heroes that we're seeing get away with some of this, they're able to do it more effectively than not. So Ishbu's positioning, you don't have to be as careful.
Yeah.
So we are seeing aggression from some of these players that I think compositionally on the other side is giving them the freedom to do that. And here's a level 10 invade. They're taking this.
Love that rotation out from Bam Bam. You could see his understanding of how dominant the situation is as the tether comes back onto Tiger and picks up what is a very easy kill there after that rotation. Just knowing with the 10 advantage, Knights was likely the place that they all were because nobody forcing the turn in yet. Bam Bam so not afraid, willing to use the Knight Camp taking through mid. He's like, I'll solo rotate through a fort. Doesn't matter. Even if they pick me up, we're good to go. Pick up the camp, pick up a kill. And Zuna does end up getting the turn in on the top half here, but it's going to cost them a lot more as there's a lot of free clear available from Heroes Hearth.
That double camp mid will almost single-handedly take down, or at least keep this at bay. Big time. The 4-man in the top lane, Phoenix in the bottom. This will be more than enough to staunch this. So Heroes Hearth still in control, have a level and a half lead. It's slowly mounting here. Still waiting for the first big breakout. Nice flank coming in here. King Caffeine doesn't use...
Dukes the Blessed, but then the comeback off of that middle gate. Damage is there, and they end up getting it there. That was close, though.
That's one way to make sure and land it.
Yeah, the old Ricochet approach.
It's kind of like Thrall's lightning, though. It scares me a little in where it's going to bounce.
Oh, no, trust me when I say you should never rely on that strategy. You should be afraid of where that thing's going to bounce. Good disengage there between the Hammer, Leap Out, and Howling Blast. And Heroes Hearth Esports ended up losing Ishbu, but because he turned in a majority of his gems, it's not that concerning. Good interrupt there from Crowin onto Zuna, but Tiger and K1 able to drop off their gems. That's 28 now on reserve for Simplicity.
Simplicity with that kill, they made up some of the experience deficit, denied some gems, not a tremendous amount, but have got themselves a small window before 13 to try and fight back. For Heroes Hearth, they're just 18 gems away from getting a turn in, just snuck in a handful more. They have enough to turn in, see if they can make it happen or whether Simplicity will find a way to deny it.
For now, just with Ishbu being the solo representative on bottom. He's going to feign for a turn-in, but it's going to be scouted there. Zuna able to move forward. Crowan gets interrupted with the Lunar Flare as well. That's a stack on cooldown. Sentinel should be off cooldown. And not going to be used for the interrupt if it was. I don't know if it would have made it in time either way. Now Zuna in a bad spot. Not able to connect with the Howling Blast. Lunar Flare does not land either here. 13 talents here just around the corner for Heroes Hearth Esports. And now the Web Weaver's looking to descend.
Well, with that 13 talent here in the level of control, BBJ is going to lock him in. In comes the Warden's Cage. Heroic use, trying to keep everybody alive. The armor is out, but the slows are in. That's going to be the bonus damage. Bane of Knives resetting, as well as the Starfall coming down. There are projectiles everywhere in the middle of that. We've got a 1-for-1 so far.
Posey getting body blocked to death, though. Now has to take the route through the Night Camp. Zuna coming in with that Ray Strike, actually buying enough time. The Herodic Cube slows not enough to get the kill. The dodge now onto the scroll of ceiling. Zuna's going to be the focus. He dashes onto Bam Bam, gets the dot out, but Ishbu and the B-steps are used there as BBJ ends up dropping the potion to keep Bam Bam alive.
Okay, I just want to say, if people ever wonder why people regarded Zuna as one of the better players in the history, those plays he made right there, first it was to save Raynor, but the way that he stayed alive and the time that he stayed alive, that was impressive. Death or not, in that situation, you're down a talent tier, you find a way to save a teammate and almost take down the other side. That was extremely impressive.
Yeah, it was very much impressive there out from Zuna, but at the end of the day, the stat advantage and talent tier advantage so heavily in favor of Heroes Hearth Esports at this point, it is still, we're going to need a lot more of those from him in this game to get that recovery from Simplicity, as that 16 talent tier is closing in. Heroes Hearth just finished off this Web Weaver phase as we get ourselves a pause coming through. At this point in time, with the 30 gems, or 27 gems in the hands of Heroes Hearth Esports, it puts them in a position to where there is no major win condition for a long period of time. Likely, we can see a Knight and a Giant rotation with the boss setup with the 16 talent tier, but that is the only major spike with the 16 window for some time. So Simplicity, if there's ever a moment that a Tyrande composition on Tomb of the Spider Queen has an opportunity to come back in this big of a deficit, this is it. The 30 gem window down to 3 levels.
It's going to be fun to see if they can come back. We'll get this squared away soon for you all. For Heroes Hearth, they're not their team that for a long time they would get down, they would come back, but when they're ahead, they dominate when they're ahead. And sometimes there was a moment right after Western Clash they had trouble closing out games. But when you have this type of lead on Tomb of the Spider Queen, I believe it's a 2-level, maybe almost 3 levels, depending on how many structures go down here. For them, this is a map that the windows for Simplicity are going to be small. If you can find somebody in rotation with one of those max range blessed shields, some type of dismount, and then a Lunar Flare follow-up, that's yours. But will Heroes Hearth give them that opportunity?
Probably not. With the wave clear advantage that they have, it makes it very easy to get away with that type of situation, right? Is you just don't cross the line of scrimmage unless you have to, and at that point, you never really need to, right? There's no major incentive outside of a boss threat maybe on the side of Simplicity here, and I don't feel like they're in a position or necessarily even have a composition that can get away with it. Double support is not necessarily your boss racing threat that you're so afraid of in the past, you know? So it's a grim situation, but I think the biggest thing to highlight here is that Heroes Hearth made a really clever play in the draft, and it's just put them in a lose-lose scenario, I think, here from Simplicity, knowing that we're going to Tomb. And it all started with the Zul ban, with the lack of priority into the wave clear within the first 3 picks on the side of Simplicity.
The one thing I want to ask you is that double support was extremely prominent throughout the middle part and later part of last year. Going into BlizzCon, we saw a lot of support changes, change the landscape drastically here in 2018. We're now seeing it starting to creep back in, mainly because Whitemane introduction and then Tyrande rework has enabled a lot of that.
Yeah.
The Whitemane heroic with the Aegis, the healing, the armor, the Tyrande damage output plus healing potential output. Does that make it a little easier to say it's 15 versus 16, this is our last chance, we can take this fight? I mean, does that kind of cushion the deficit in those situations?
Yeah, double support has, when you hear me talk about forgiveness, the most out of any compositions, in most cases outside of macro and certain elements, but when you're talking about the teamfight to teamfight, very much so. You have multiple opportunities, much like Tyrande compositions have multiple opportunities to get the kill. They also have multiple opportunities to double heal out and not be in a losing situation in the raw poke war that's likely going to happen around a tribute. So very much does it become advantageous as a composition down talent tiers. Like if you're going to take a team fight down a talent tier as a comp, you want a double support comp to probably make that happen. some would argue that maybe in those situations, catching somebody out and one-shotting them is more effective, which is where Tyrande comes in as that beautiful hybrid within double support meta. There's a reason why Tyrande is an outlier within that. Whitemane was good, but Tyrande's great, is because of that element. She makes everyone have that, hey, we need a pick in this type of situation, which makes up for her weakness of the wave clear. Also has revealing and scouting and information. Those kind of weird nuances of Tyrande make her very different than some of the rest.
There are some interesting things to consider. Simplicity. I mean, they have opportunities to get back in the game. How many of those are going to be pretty dependent on Heroes Hearth? For Heroes Hearth, it seems simple. They just need to play the patient game, play the talent tier game. There might be a small window where it's 15.5 to 13, and every good team, even in your own games, it's 15.5 to 13. Those are situations where it's like, there's a lot of people that are like, I can never give up an objective. It's impossible. I would love to never give up an objective, Dreadnought, but sometimes it's okay to give up an objective. Unless you have a great stall composition, then you stall towards 16 and then look to take a team fight. You don't necessarily have to hard defend if it's 15.5 to 13, which is where we find ourselves out now. And I think that's why, just looking at the minimap between the Deckard and the Yrel, they're goaltending and waiting towards 16.
Yep. Stall it out there. Maiev doing her best to pick up the camp. And look at this also. Maiev and Phoenix, look at the camp pickup. Giants and Knights started. What this should lead into is then if you somehow get a kill in this time frame or somebody responds, you can threaten a boss later. It usually depends on kills because this boss, even if you get it, is not useful. I'm just trying to highlight that with no gems, boss is about the only thing left for Heroes Hearth to really claim and further their advance throughout this game, as the 16 is going to be picked up. One more wave. There it is. Time's up. Let's do this.
But look at Ishbu pushing out that mid lane so hard that the other thing it does, it gives you that control. Hyperion used in response with the 16 versus 13. They walk away from it. No damage taken. That's a 100-second cooldown. The rotations will need to be dealt with here by Simplicity. Heroes Hearth just making a lot happen.
And this is where the boss play should come online, knowing that Giants have to be the next rotation afterwards if they're ever intending to do that. But judging by the fact that top wave has been pressured out and their tri-lane rotating here over to the night camp, it shows that's not the focus. Bam Bam, though, going to get the reveal here as Krillin comes down with that Warden's Cage, bringing back 3 members here as King Caffeine trying to kite away. Fan reset 1. Gets the kill there. K1 Pro is now going to be the secondary focus as Zuna actually surviving there. The double support is really showing the forgiveness I was highlighting earlier there, Jay How, as they hold on to this 5 versus 4, but for how long?
Well, they're fighting back. The salvo was put on cooldown last time. This time it will go down. The 2-man tether will pull them in again. Ishbu trying to go, does get the snipe with that Arsenal synergy. Great use of that level 1 using that max range auto, ends up with a double kill. And you mentioned that siege camp at the bottom needed to be dealt with at some point. It was not Dread, and now that's allowing Heroes Hearth to threaten and most likely take the keep here.
Yeah, big plays here coming up from Heroes Hearth Esports.
Even Ancient Blessings proc there just to make sure it's quick and easy and get on out.
Yeah, now the escape is going to be here. Not enough gems again within that window, and no night camp available with the giant siege on bottom. There will be the night camp denial here from Heroes Hearth Esports, but we got to start looking at that future window. What is the decision making towards finding this major win condition while the 16 talent tier is still here? I personally still like the boss call now that we have moved past the 16, moving towards the 18. Statistically speaking, going to be a high value there as
Rainer trying to turn in.
But if Yrel finds him, which Max sure will.
He's in trouble.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, he's on him.
Uh-oh.
Jimmy,
Jimmy, no.
No fort to run back to. This is a 0-live situation.
Well, he's got more help than the 2-man chase.
Yeah, they're just kind of chilling. Heroic use. Hosty will try and turn around. The rest of the attention in the mid, they're just like, look, keep them busy. We'll take this keep. McIntyre will try and retreat to safety. Gets a nice heal out right before last rites. Procs and would have likely taken down Yrel there.
And most of the time we have low health plays like that from McIntyre. We kind of joke about, oh, that was calculated, you know? But to give you an idea of how calculated it was, he had Ardent Defender. Ardent Defender is a response to last rites as one of the immediate bursts. Like, he was very confident, like, this is not a problem. I'll just wait for the heal, proc it before the last rites, and call it a night there. 2 keep advantage now in favor of Heroes Hearth Esports, and still no 16 in sight for Simplicity. Enough gems for the Webweaver phase this time.
There we go.
And there it is. So now, do we see the triple keep or even game, Jay How? Because right now this game is very well prepped for Heroes Hearth to find 1 to 2 kills and send us to a game number 2.
Yeah, these lanes are so far pushed out. Simplicity would like to clear that lane at the bottom. The Webweaver spawn the furthest up where your wave is, and they did not full clear that. Army used maybe a little early. Bam Bam looking for a fight. But the Webweavers will be here momentarily, and it looks like they're going directly to core.
That will be a actually pretty big setback when it comes to ending this game. The fact that Army is on cooldown here. If Bam Bam is one of the targets that gets threatened early on, once the Web Weaver is going to be dealt with, we'll find out. There's still a lot of other struggles here for Simplicity as the Hyperion comes out. There's the inevitable end use. Ispu going to go ahead and drop the salvo, but the combo coming through to stay a while. And listen, along with the Aegis, damage already onto the corner, 90% and falling here, but Heroes Hearth Esports lost the Phoenix.
It's not guaranteed yet. Some of the health bars are low. Kroan goes in. He's willing to die for this, but the stun comes down. Maiev goes down. The Web Weaver is here. 20% falling. BBG has fallen. Bam Bam and McIntyre will help, and this should be enough to help in the game. McIntyre, Bam Bam was all it took. I'm willing to die for this is what they said, and well, they got exactly what they came.